First conversation. We have a second leg on the program this morning, and that's on the brand new INEC chairman. Please stay with us. All right, welcome back. It's still Good Morning Nigeria, live on the network service of the NTA. Yesterday, if you watched the Nigerian Television Authority, of course, you would have seen the Nigerian Senate confirming Professor Joash Ojo Amukwetan, SEN, as the new chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC.
Well, a major development it is in Nigeria's electoral journey, and already expectations are running high.
Very high, I must say. As Professor Amukwetan takes the helm, many are watching to see how he'll tackle the challenges that have, ravaged, or if you like, dealt a very big blow on the commission through the years.
Organizing credible election is one, restoring public trust in the electoral process is another. It's a huge responsibility, I must say.
And so today we'll be exploring what Nigerians expect from the new INEC chairman, the priorities he should focus on, and how he can redefine electoral management in the country.
And joining us to share insights are Dr. Aminu Hayatu of the Department of Political Science, Bayero University, Kano. A pleasure to have you on Good Morning Nigeria.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
All right. Also here for the conversation is Chief Ezenwa Nwagu, Chairman Partners for Electoral Reform and convener Say No Campaign Nigeria. He is also here for the conversation.
Thank you. Good morning. Good
All
to
right.
see you again.
Welcome, gentlemen. Let me begin with Dr. Hayatu. And of course, what do you think should be Professor Amukwetan's first line of action as he steps in as chair of INEC?
Okay, thank you. I think for me, most of the time I wonder even why it's an issue when we have a new INEC chairman on board to lead the electoral empire, and then it becomes an issue to say there should be something different. For me, the body is established by law, and anybody who finds himself to steer the affairs of that body should just walk by the law. So if we are really developing new expectations every time there is a new chairman on board, it means that many things are wrong when in the course of leading that organization. And I think this fundamentally raises the questions, about how well, the electoral empire actually, is being able to carry its responsibilities, under the leadership of the INEC chairman. And I think one of the expectations is that Nigerians are still not very confident in the way that some elections are conducted in this country. Because if you look at, post-electoral reactions, you see that from the courts of law, to sometimes even protest about the way certain elections have happened, and the general dissatisfaction. If you go to the media, you see people coming up to complain that, some elections are conducted not in accordance with the provision of the law. So the expectation of the new INEC chairman would be to really sit down, sit back and look at what has gone wrong before he joined the commission. If he doesn't get it right from the beginning, there are a lot of expectations from Nigerians as we are heading towards 2027 election. And already many Nigerians are of the opinion that the INEC is still a body that serves the party in power. So to be able to debunk that assumption would be to practically showcase to Nigerians how INEC can be a neutral body in conducting the elections. And even the question of capacity, because INEC is one of the few government bodies that are giving all that they ask for. You don't get to see them complaining about funds, about anything. Logistics are very important in elections. We've seen over time when elections are held, they are supposed to start in the morning, early in the morning, but some elections are held after 12 noon. And then before you know, the time runs out, and then a lot of people are in the queue. They are not able to vote. Screening of voters is also a logistic problem that we still see. Look at the recent elections that were conducted in Rivers, and the reruns that were conducted in Kaduna and so on. People waited in the queue for a very long time without anybody coming to attend to them. We see pressmen going around interviewing people, and they're complaining that we didn't see the officials. And then when the officials are conducted, they say we are waiting for the arrival of the materials and so on.
Okay.
And so many of these things, really the new INEC chairman need to sit back and look at what has been the problem before he comes on board, and how he can really plan to be able to begin to address
Many
this.
thanks, Dr. Hayato, for your opening comments. Let's get to Chief Umankwe now. We have worked with almost all the INEC chairmen so far. This is a new one. A lot of people are saying the litmus test for him is the November 8 election in Anambra. What do you expect?
There is no litmus test. I think part of the challenge that we have is that we like to build personality cults. We are not very much interested in being systemic, and so we celebrate individuals and then honor those who self-promote. Once people self-promote themselves, we're excited about that. And so that's why we are always interested in one man. And it's coming from a military commandist background, where we think that a leader is a commander. He can instruct. INEC has a chairman with 12 other national commissioners whose mode of appointment is the same with the way the chairman is appointed. Those 12 national commissioners are not his subordinates. They are also nominated, screened with the intervention of the Council of State. Now, these 12 national commissioners come from zones, representing zones with different, play. These people worship in different shrines, drink from different ponds. He's presiding over these 12 other people. Managing those 12 is the first critical assignment. How you are able to marry these varying interests that are represented politically in the commission. That's number one. Then you have 37 resident electoral commissioners who are also appointed in the same way the national chairman is appointed.
And wield significant influence.
And they are not his schoolboys. There will be mutual respect. These 37 resident electoral commissioners with quasi-independence to organize election in their states, with 37 administrative secretaries, with 774 electoral officers, and for a general election with over 1 million ad hoc staff, including vice chancellors and other academics who function as returning officers. So when we build this personality cult, we give the impression that this chairman, and that's why Dr. his prefacing was important for me, that every time these appointments are made, there's a furor that comes with it. Oh, what are the new expectations? As if he's a major general that will simply now start. He has to navigate certain minefields. And organizing these minefields are important. He has to study the political environment. He has to understand the different stakeholders in the electoral pyramid.
But he doesn't have time to do all of this before Anambra.
Anambra work has finished in Anambra. He's not the one conducting Anambra election. There is a national commissioner in charge of Southeast. Okay? If there are 10 things to be done, 8 has already been done in Anambra. He will go and attend stakeholders meeting. You know, meet the different stakeholders, do the photo ops, and come back to Abuja and stay in a situation room. The foot soldiers are the resident electoral commissioner, the EOs in the 21 local governments, and the presiding officers in the 6,000 polling units that you have in Anambra State. These are the guys who are going to be conducting elections. And you know what happens, Victor? We give these people comfort. They are off the radar in spotlighting. So whether we are looking at election manipulation or good organization of election, they are not in the focus.
Because the INEC chairman oversees and ensures they do the right thing. So
see, they are overseeing. You are overseeing 21 EOs. Okay? You are overseeing a resident electoral commissioner that you did not appoint. You are not understanding this. Who has quasi power? They can call themselves a family, but if you are involved, if you are invested in elections, you understand that this national chairman, okay, will have to walk through minefields. I needed to signpost that. If you understand that, then the second thing that needs to happen, because we are setting an agenda for him, I don't know how much time we have. By the time Professor Jega came, Professor Jega did an intervention. That intervention has become a bureaucracy. What was that intervention? He infused academics into the electoral process. You know, outsourcing the certain aspects of the conduct of elections to these academics. The administration, the INEC administration itself, that you had challenges with in terms of the integrity deficits, not much has been done about that. Do you understand what I'm saying? So those academics now, the politicians have now become very interested in who becomes vice chancellor, in who becomes that process. They have completely ambushed it.
Are you saying it is because of INEC?
Because the guns of that infusion is now facing us. A lot of work needs to happen in strengthening. And let me give you the NAFDAC example. When Akunyili came into NAFDAC, if you remember very well, there were no people came from outside. What happened was motivation for the staff, training, and discipline. And she scored that high point that we saw during her tenure in. So the infusion of the academic, the politicians contribute 90% of the challenges that you have in elections. And Professor Abu Piton needs to do well to understand their ability to subvert the process and find out the linkages of this chain that I talked about. If you are talking about election manipulation, where does it happen? Does it happen with the 12 national commissioners? Does it happen in operations department? Does it happen in procurement? Then you come to the resident electoral commissioners. Subnational elections are as good as the resident electoral commissioner. If a resident electoral commissioner is invested in giving credible elections, you will have one. If he or she is not interested in that, you are going to have challenges. You saw it in Adamawa, you saw it in Sokoto, you saw it in Abia in the general elections. So we need to really take time out to understand that it is a whole movement, and that once, let me give you what I'm saying. I've seen a resident electoral commissioner who was giving money to procure vehicles.
By who?
No, procure vehicles for the vendors who will carry materials from one point to the other. Let's say he's told to get 120 vehicles and he gets 50. You're already having logistics, nightmare already. Because what then happens is that the money for the 120, he will find explanation for it. And then you will not be able to move materials from one point to the other. So you are in Abuja saying you have released money. Mm-hmm. Then the money gets to the EO. The EO also decides to bring 30 vehicles instead of 50. This is the Nigerian challenge. So you can sit in Abuja and pontificate the much you want. If those foot soldiers are not aligned to certain kind of values, then you are not going to.
But you just mentioned some resident electoral commissioners who didn't do the needful. For example, the
Who
Adamawa.
may not do the needful.
I mean, in the past. I'm talking in the past.
Yes.
Like the Adamawa example you gave. We saw that, I mean, INEC headquarters, or if you like, the INEC chairman at that time, was able to set things right.
He didn't. That's what these interventions, the law was what gave INEC power to now do so, and that was what Dr. Hayatu was talking about. The law, the new law, gives INEC the power to intervene and review. It was not there until Electoral Act 2022. Now INEC can say, stop, let us take a review. So those elections were reviewed. The Obingwa, what happened in Obingwa local government was reviewed by INEC. Okay, what happened in Sokoto was reviewed by INEC. What happened in Adamawa was reviewed by the power conferred by the Electoral Act 2022. That power to do, I think it is section 65. Okay, so the point is that the powers, I'm just giving you that election manipulation or good conduct of election is not a one-man business. That's the point that I'm trying to make.
Anyways, but the body language of that one man sometimes can, help those.
What is body language?
Oh well. Well.
That's body language.
Back in this conversation, he's talked a lot about. Well, Yere was referring to body language. I don't know how much that could boil a cup of water, but his background as a lawyer, much more a senior advocate, a lecturer. Well, we've always had academics, for quite some time. How do these prepare him for the task ahead?
Well, for me, we should pay more attention to his personality as an individual, yes, which encapsulates a lot of things, including character, including his professional, the advantage of his professional calling, as you mentioned, and then many other things. Because if you check the qualities that are required of an INEC chairman to be in place, it's not someone you should doubt about his capacity to perform by the time they are accepted to be in that position. So the expectation is that even if, in fact, that is, general for all leadership positions, by the time that the integrity and the quality of that person as a leader is confirmed by everyone in the country, and even including the people he's leading, there are slimmer chances that people could compromise under his leadership. We have seen leaders who have led people that under them have known to be corrupt, but because the leader has integrity and has no tolerance for corruption, they would have to align with his own leadership style, perhaps until he leaves or something. So it is important that he really juxtaposes that capacity to show his ability to be honest in his dealings as an INEC chairman, and also to comply with the provisions of the law. Many people, when they accuse the electoral umpire, they refer to the laws to say that they have violated so section, they have done this, they have done that. And I think it is important and it is high time that these mistakes are not repeated over and over again in a country in which democracy has come to stay. And he must, if you look at, people's reaction on his election, you understand that people have relative confidence that he is of good moral standing to be able to take up that challenge. What remains of him is to put that in practice. And you remember, in all the past INEC chairmen we have had these challenges of questions around, many practices that have happened under the leadership of the INEC chairman that people challenge as violating the electoral laws. Why should we have INEC in place? Why should we have cases after election in court almost being challenged after every election. So the INEC chairman has a duty, and he has mentioned it, that it is not only the INEC chairman that runs INEC. You saw that in some states, like what happened in Kano, during the last election. One electoral commissioner took the decision to do something outside the provisions of the law, and he was allowed to be on his own. It was not the INEC chairman that was accused of that misdoing. And so also all other responsibilities across cadres in the INEC, they are solely for the people who have been appointed to do that job. If they fail, they are responsible for that. So basically, the INEC chairman is more or less like a manager who should be able to really, as he mentioned, oversee and oversight. You are appointed there not to go and impose decisions on people. They have laws guiding their operations.
Talked about character.
Yes.
Ezenwa also made mention of it. He talked about politicians creating 90% of the problems. These same politicians will give you gifts that you don't solicit. Someone told me in private that Professor Jega, part of why it seemed like he succeeded was that he never wanted to interface with politicians on a private level. If it wasn't for, election, those meetings that they will hold with political parties, he never wanted to interface. He never wanted to receive anything. He never wanted to hear that, he's doing something, and they came. He never wanted all of that. And he made it clear to the people who walked around him. Part of the problem that a politically exposed person would have, most likely, is the people around you. The corridors of power, people in the corridors of that power that you hold. If you cannot put a leash on them, they will dent you. Because they will take decisions in your name. They will do a lot of things in your name. So how important is that?
No, like I told you in the beginning, the problem in Nigeria is that we see people in the position of power, but we don't know what is in their mind. If an INEC chairman is in place who is supposed to be neutral, apolitical, non-partisan, and is supposed to really manage the affairs of the electoral empire, they have no business with politicians whatsoever. The only business they have with the politicians is when they try to, relate with them based on, the provisions of the law that, yes. But the problem is that we see in all the things that are happening in Nigeria, we see tendencies where when you see elections conducted and you see the responses by some by INEC itself on certain electoral matters, you get to wonder if there is no connivance between such politicians and those people. Okay. So the INEC chairman's integrity is important. If he accepts not to be to compromise, it is easy, just like you mentioned, Jega did it. Although we cannot, what we see is what we can see.
Exactly.
So it is important.
Many thanks, Dr. Hayatu. Let's get back to Chief Ezenwa Nwagu now, as we begin to round up the conversation, of course. Rebuilding trust and credibility is a major issue. A lot of Nigerians just don't trust the system anymore. They don't believe that, credible elections can come out from INEC that we have. What would you expect the new INEC chairman to do in that regard? And then talking about technological advancements, are there improvements you would want to see with him being in power?
First, thank you. Let me say that 70% of the litigation after election are internal party issues. They are not the conduct of the election itself. And we are not paying attention to that. I just wanted to put that out. Most times when you see the court cases, they are not for the conduct of the election. They are either replacement of candidates and all those issues that... So if you have 1,000 cases, you may just find out that it is about 200 that have to do with conduct of elections. That's number one. Number two is the fact that integrity, trust, is not an election issue. Go to the ATM, watch people at the ATM. Nigerians will slot their card, money will come out, they will stand in front of the ATM and still count. So we are really a people, and then election is a divisive issue. Election creates people who are for and against. So you have to always watch out for the voices that you are hearing. Those voices, are they patriotic voices? Are they partisan voices? Before you are able to gauge the... So, Professor Amupiton, what he needs is what Dr. Hayatu talked about. He's a manager. He is managing... See, Professor Amupiton may not go to a politician. A national commissioner may finish commission meeting and go back to return to his patrons. You can't... There is nothing you can do about that now. The nature of our recruitment into sensitive, sacred organizations like INEC are part of its challenges. I've just told you that these national commissioners, resident electoral commissioners, how do they, even Amupiton, the underground of his appointment, the baggages, the debts that are owed around these appointments.
But how can you do it in the above board?
It inflicts.
It goes through the Senate.
It goes that's what I'm telling you. It not only goes through the Senate. It goes through the Council of State. It goes through the secret police, screening you and all of those things. But we have seen all the national commissioners and resident electoral commissioners who currently have been sacked. The Adamawa were all screened. They were all screened. The minister who has resigned now was screened.
So what's the challenge?
So the big challenge is institutional until we become systemic in our thinking, in getting a system that even if you are appointed, you fit into that system by law, not by your whimsical, whether he's a good man or a bad man. We are always assessing in terms of whether he's a good man, he's a bad man.
So, some have even said, why does it seem that only academics have the integrity to be in certain positions?
No, that's what I'm saying. Because it's a funny thing. We need to begin to look much more into people fitting into institutions in a way that they cannot maneuver. So my answer to you is that integrity, to show up integrity, is to talk more, to communicate more. Let me give you an instance. Dr. Hayatu said, the ruling party. In 2013, 2014, when the APC was looking for registration, it had not been denied registration, but it came to the media and said that INEC was already a merger with the PDP. Government. By the time it got its registration, in 2024, 2025, we have not completed registration. People have already said, oh, INEC have denied us registration. All that put into the public space is what eats into the integrity of institutions. So there are people whose job is to impugn on the nature, integrity of institutions when it does not play their own game. And politicians are adept at that. The same politician who comes to corrupt the INEC official, if the INEC official refuses, will not go and say, I was refused. He will say he collected from my opponent. That's why he refused. So we have, now 2023, finally for me in 2023, this INEC presented Nigeria with the most diverse National Assembly since we came to this democracy, by having, opposition political parties. If you have a Labour Party win election and is in the National Assembly, who conducted that election? If you have NNPP, we win election in Kano, when there's a dominant political party at the top, winning election in Kano, and the election was not stolen, who conducted the election? If the president of the country lost Katsina, his home state, if the president of the country lost Kaduna, where he almost had a cult image, if he lost Abuja, where he works, to opposition political party, you have to be careful in talking about the shifts that are already taking place in terms of competition. Election is a competitive enterprise. And if more opposition parties win election is an indication of impartiality and neutrality of the manager.
What about technology? Would you want to see?
So technology, 2020 innovations by the Mahmoud Commission. Quiet innovations. Let me give you Anambra, for instance. We are just finishing, we are going into Anambra now. Did you hear of candidate substitution? Did you hear anybody saying we were substituted?
No.
Do you think that happened? It was technology. What did technology? Technology says, conduct your primaries, don't come to Abuja, send us the list of... Electronically. Once you send it, by 6 p.m. on a particular day, you no longer have access. So Abuja became quiet. It used to be an industry in INEC for the people who are at the gate and the clerks, who were waiting to ensure that those people who will come late, they still will take something from them, open the gate. All that was removed. It's quiet. Nigerians may not have taken interest in noting that what used to be very chaotic and rancorous candidate selection process has been eliminated by just one single action, and many, many more. So what Professor Amupiton needs to do is to also not just look at what has gone wrong. It's important to look at what has gone wrong, but please also look at what progress has been made
and
sustain them and see how you improve on them, and then take an audit of what is not going well and see how you can improve on it.
Let's take some messages that have come in. This one reads, "Good morning, sirs. My name is British Aharanwa in Lagos." A British in Lagos. I don't believe there will be positive expectations if the electoral reforms are not implemented. That's my candid opinion. Okay. And from Jonathan in Kuje, Abuja, "I hope and pray the new INEC boss should not betray the trust and confidence reposed in him by the citizens. Let him meet the yearnings of the electorate by conducting free, fair, and credible elections across the country. I wish him a hitch-free tour of duty." And finally, from Olaiton Akinwumi Idekiti, Dr. Olaiton Akinwumi, "I would like to extend my congratulations to Professor Joash Amupito on his new role. However, I have a question regarding the appointment process for INEC chairman. Given that there are 12 INEC commissioners who have worked alongside the outgoing chairman and have gained valuable experience, why wasn't one of them considered for the position instead of looking outside for a new candidate every 5 years?" Okay.
All right, more questions. I'm sure you just respond together. This one says, "We should give INEC the benefit of the doubt. I pray that God will guide the chairman and grant him the wisdom and courage to do what is right for our nation. Leading Nigeria is never easy. No matter what you do, there will always be criticism. May God strengthen him, help him to stand for truth and justice, and use him as an instrument for free, fair, and credible elections." And that's coming from Muhammad Isa from Kogi State. Another one is from Engineer Akeju Olagbaju. It says, "I watched the screening from the beginning to the end. Yes, he has a good resume, but evaded issues that related to his vision for a new INEC. And did it tell Nigerians how he planned to make INEC truly independent and partisan free." Another one says, "Good morning to you all. Please, the new INEC chairman should try as much as possible to make sure that INEC is truly independent, as the name implies. He should also make sure that he will not be a rubber stamp chairman, and that the technical glitches that happened in 2023 should not happen again. Thank you all, and God bless Nigeria." Richard from Onitsha in Anambra State. I'm sure you want to respond, Doctor, before we get to
yes, I just want to say that, in democratic electoral politics, it's always important to look at antecedents, of whoever is appointed into a position.
Well, just a minute. Do you agree with Ezenwa's point that the trust issue is a Nigerian thing? It's not about how the institution has presented itself in the past.
No, the trust issue is also very, very relevant, because of the Nigerian problem. Because in Nigeria, where there's already all this outcry widely that, corruption everywhere. So you need to give, people the confidence that the person you are bringing on board has some level of integrity, that he can be
incorruptible.
Yes. No, not incorruptible, because you cannot determine. The only thing you can do is to say that he's relatively, that's why I use that word, is relatively reliable. By all measures, you want to look at his character, his antecedents, how he has conducted himself in the university. He was a member of committees. How did they do that? They were given assignment and all that. Antecedents.
But can't that change?
Democratic. No, whether it will change or not, it's not, nobody can know. There must be a basis upon which you build your assumption to bring someone on board. That is why, in fact, one of the commentators, just because you didn't ask me a question earlier on about this electoral laws, the Nigerian government is refusing, to pay attention to electoral reform. The Eradua Waste Committee, that report, I saw the report, I saw the white paper, very, very beautiful recommendations, for the improvement of the activities of electoral empire in Nigeria for the purpose of integrity and conducting elections. But we are not implementing that. Let me give you an example. I am not happy with the process of selecting an INEC chairman, because if a sitting president is the one who is going to look around and select.
But who will pick? Somebody has to make the call.
What I'm saying is that in that electoral reform, it will not be the president that will do that. It is a combination of the judiciary, the members of the Supreme Court, and some other identified within the Nigerian state that are reliable, that are going to, those ones are not for elections, because we do not elect the judge of the Supreme Court.
Those people will come and go, and the other new people.
Yes, but the point is that I don't, because once someone has a responsibility and who has interest in the same election that is coming up, then there is a tendency that that person may be favored.
All right.
So that's why I have serious concern.
Interest can also be by proxy, right?
Dr. Hayatu, you see, the challenge with us is that the institutions that oversight these appointments derelict their responsibility. See, if Dr. Hayatu is nominated, the president sends Dr. Hayatu's name to the DSS and say, I want you to check this man out for me. And the DSS comes out with say, excellent.
Oh, correct.
Or even says,
no. Not good.
Not eligible. It's secret. We don't know what that report is. We have to demand transparency in this kind of, what did the secret police say about this nominee? Then he comes to the National Council, which is of State. And this National Council of State consists of the people you are talking about, former this, former that, former head of state, former, and they give us unanimous.
No.
Unanimous. And then we go to the place where the real treadmill of scrutiny should happen.
The Senate.
The Senate. And the Senate has committee on intelligence, committee on fraud,
everything.
Committee
on we're out of time.
All coming together and saying it's good, even if you take it to NJC, which is the recommendation of ways. The NJC is not impermeable to the overwhelming pressure from, the appointee that you talk about. The big issue is that those who have responsibility, if the Senate will screen properly, like I said, they screen somebody. The man it is now known that his certificates were we are not.
So these are the same
No,
people.
that's what I'm saying.
These
So
are the same
if the same NJC can screen you, and then you have a problem.
We're
Many
out of time.
thanks.
We're out
Many
of
thanks,
time.
Ezenwa Wagu,
We're out of
Chairman,
time.
Partners for Electoral Reform and convener Say No
This
Campaign
kind of
Nigeria.
conversation, you give time.
Thank you so much. Yes, I think we may have to reschedule a part 2 of this conversation.
And I want to come back.
There's no time, Doctor. Honestly, there's no time. Thank you so much, Dr. Aminu Hayatu, Department of Political Science, Barry University, Kano. It was indeed a very interesting conversation, and of course, I hope we have a part 2 of it. Thank you for being our guest, and that's our package on Good Morning Nigeria this Friday. I hope you enjoyed it. Join us on Monday. I'm Yen Ray John, Level Up on the NTA.